Hello and welcome to The Second Look. It's a chance for us to take a more comprehensive look at yesterday's 1-0 victory against Watford. Now, just a reminder tonight, we've got an extended interview with Tony Pulis, so don't forget to subscribe to that. It's a really, really good one. And it all kicks off at 8 p.m. You do not want to miss that. First, though, we've got to get our priorities right, and we will wind back the clock to Saturday's game. And with me to dissect it is Jeff Hayward. How you, Jeff? How you, Tom?
Good, Tigz. You?
And Neil Dawson. How you doing, Neil?
Very good. How are you?
Yeah, really good.
Uncanny resemblance, Neil.
Isn't it?
Oh, I see. Yeah, I didn't see that down there. Yes, Lerma. I love that. It goes without saying. I mean, we've started already with the smiles. That's made a better weekend for us, hasn't it, Jeff?
Yeah, a lot of fight. Literally, metaphorically, whatever you want to call it, it was there, and just generally, much better performance. Love it. Sticking one on Watford as well. I'm sorry, but I do.
Yeah, they did not like it. There's been, Neil, a lot of Watford fans feeling quite intense about their feelings about yesterday's game, quite intense about their feelings about us generally. I listened to a podcast that Sam sent through to me this morning, and they really, 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 really don't like us. Can you understand it?
Well, first, I'd just like to say how nice it is that Tom's wearing the Watford home kit from...
It does look a bit Watford, doesn't it? I wore yellow yesterday as well.
From 1987. I think that's really magnanimous of him to make that gesture. So I think it's good. Yeah. Nice bridge building from Tom. I do know why they don't like us, because I think we've had a series of events against them that I think, if we were all to be honest, would have wound us up had it been the other way round. So I think there was a Mark Pugh trip for a penalty where he fell over a blade of grass. There was the Callum Wilson's won 2 penalties against Watford that would have annoyed me had Troy Deeney won them against us. And I think there's something about them that brings out our sort of like ability to dive, win things, whinge a little bit, and of course they were up for spotting that, and then Jeff took it to a different level a little bit at spells yesterday. So I can understand it, but at the same time it gives me huge enjoyment.
Yeah, completely. He had a lovely smile after the game on Twitter as well, didn't he, Tom?
Oh, that's brilliant, wasn't it? Yeah, he still carried on after the game. But yeah, no, it's weird, isn't it? We've been talking about kind of the lack of fight and stuff, and that's exactly what we saw. So that was really good to see that that fight was back. And yeah, they tried to listen. They tried to wind Jeff up, and he won. You know, as simple as that. But yeah, I agree with what Neil said. It is what it is, isn't it? You'd be annoyed if it was the other way. But you know, Jeff got the better of him yesterday, and it was quite nice to see.
I think also the rivalry is down to a certain game in the Championship. When was that? Not long ago, where they played Sheffield Wednesday and we were playing Charlton. Anyone remember that one? What happened there?
Vaguely.
Yeah, they had some unused furniture, didn't they? That they they weren't able to pull out. So at 12:30, the teams came out. We'd had a little look at what they might be. We weren't sure how they're going to line up. We had Begovic, Smith, Carter Vickers, Steve Cook, Kelly Lerma, Lewis Cook, Pearson, Stanislas Solanke and Dan Jumba. What did you think, Tom? Was that a lineup that you thought would be doing the business for us?
Yeah, I quite like the look of it. Really good to see Dom leading the line again and Pearson coming in. So yeah, as long as we were hopeful that it was going to be that back four and Kelly a bit left back. There was obviously there was a thought in my head that he's still going to play Stanislas at wing back, but fortunately we went with a 4-3-3/4-2-3-1 kind of system, and yeah, it was nice. I don't think many people could argue with that, and it was just like I say, it was such a nice surprise to see Dom leading that line again.
Yeah, great to see Dom Solanke back. Didn't expect him to play for as long as he did. Jeff, the game against Watford is always going to be about the performance that we gave. That's what we felt beforehand, rather than the result. But Woodgate got that pretty spot on, didn't he?
Well, 3rd game in a row. Let's not forget he matches up to what they're doing. So, he says he's talked a lot about sticking with the same formation for the rest of the season. Let's see how that pans out when we come up against the back 5 again. Actually, the way Watford did shape up, I think suits us better. When the opposition plays a sort of low block, 5 at the back sort of system against us, we struggle with creativity. But them playing a more attacking 4-3-3 actually gave us more holes to play with going forwards, which was good. And I think it was a completely different game to the game at Vicarage Road earlier in the season, where the onus was on us. We had about 68% possession in that game and scored in the 95th to equalise. They had one shot on target and scored it in the 11th minute, I think it was. Whereas this time around, I mean, they still had one shot on target. Let's not forget about that. But I think, we looked a bit more creative going forwards, and the team setup I thought was good yesterday.
And we had a back four and wingers, Neil. I mean, that must have been like Christmas for you, surely.
Yes, I know. Well, let's hope, like Jeff said, that's what we stick with, because we're clearly much better suited to a back four, and it was great that we kept a clean sheet. So no one can say that defensively it affected us moving to a back four. I think we probably are. I do like that block of the 3 central midfielders, and I think because central midfield is the area we're most blessed in, it makes more sense to overload in that area, because we still have Wiltshire and Billing, who would walk into a lot of sides in this division not even able to get on the pitch. So I think that will help. And the only thing with the front three is that it doesn't get the best out of Stanislas being on the right. He needs to be on the left, where he can cut in and make things happen. But I think he can play on the right, whereas I think Danjuma would really struggle. And they're very, very similar sort of players in terms of their ability to finish when they're put through on the wrong side. So I think that's the dilemma he's going to have. If Brooks gets back fully fit and on form, he might be in the position where he has to choose between Danjuma and Stanislas. But other than that, it's a nice problem to have. And Solanke made a hell of a difference.
Yeah. I mean, they had a lot more of the ball to begin with, but it did feel like, as you've alluded to then, we were more organised, and we had like a figurehead. We did create a few chances, though. Solanke had one, getting on the end of a few little scraps there, around about 7 or 8 minutes into the game. And it was good to see Lloyd Kelly getting more involved, and when he has been using the ball a bit further up the pitch rather than passing around in our area. Tom, what did you think of his performance?
Yeah, I was really pleased with Lloyd. And I think now is where we've got to go. Lloyd, you're going to be our left back. Do you know what I mean? Let's I've been critical of him, but I think he's been very inconsistent this season. But having said that, he's changed positions every game, so I do feel for him in that sense. But Bristol City used him as a left back and said he's one of the best left backs, if not the best left back in the division. So yeah, we know he can do it, and it was really good to see us finally have a good performance from a left back. But he was great. He had that chance, like you say, and it just seemed to work really well, because I think we all know that Arnie's not going to give him the greatest cover in the world on that side. But I felt Jeff Lerma and Ben Pearson were going over and covering the space when he needed it really well. They were both a really good kind of protective shield to that defensive unit. So it was it was ideal. And from, like you say, from minute one, they had the ball and things like that, but we looked compact, we looked organised, and we looked a threat up the other end. So it was a good start of the game.
I think if Kelly plays like that, he might actually get the ball passed to him by Danjuma when he does an overlap, because there are times, I think, if Danjuma does pass to him occasionally, and there was one occasion yesterday where he should have passed to him and he didn't, where if he does do that, it will create more space for Danjuma, because the defenders won't be able to predict that he's always going to cut inside. If he can just do that occasionally during a game, I think that will really, really help. And Kelly played superbly yesterday. I think his defensive work on the SAR was outstanding.
And it was clear that Watford's tactic was to create more space, to hug the touchline, to kind of pull us apart a bit. Jeff, to you, do they look like a team that are going to be up there at the end of the season? Are they?
Yeah, I think playing like that, I think they've got a lot more going forward. It was interesting to see the runs that Cleverley and Chalabar were making. That I didn't see and haven't seen much from Watford in the previous few seasons. Actually, even playing in the Premier League, they just haven't done that really. But they looked to have something going forwards. I think we tracked them really well. I think Pearson and Lerma in the middle were outstanding as well. Pearson in particular, some of the blocks he was making on Chalabar were just really, really good reading of the game. And that sort of teamwork and cohesion we haven't really been great at. We had Lerma doubling up on Saar with Kelly, which was fantastic. And we had Pearson tracking the runs of their midfielders to, again, stop their threat. So we looked comfortable for all their possession. They had probably one or two efforts in that first 20. And it reminded me a lot of watching us, actually, against other teams, where we sort of start promisingly and then faded. And that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, completely. And Ben Pearson not had many opportunities for us, actually, but now he has come in. He now does seem to be fit. He's making a real impact. And we've got a midfield centre three there, Neil. What do you see as their roles, the three of them? Are they doing the same role? Are they doing different roles? What do you think?
Pearson and Lerma looked to be sitting, with Lewis Cook was pressing higher up and getting into the box. I guess he could dovetail that role with Jack Wilshere if Jack Wilshere can get back onto form. I think Jack Wilshere would be more creative with those little dinked through balls. So I think my perfect midfield would probably be Lerma and Pearson holding, because I think if you've got those two and Cook and Carter Vickers behind them, that's four players that are really difficult to get through and get past and score. So it's a shame, because Lewis Cook's an excellent player. It's just, does he quite have the creativity in the final third that Wilshere has? I don't think he does. But I think at the moment, Woodgate doesn't trust Wilshere's work rate, hence why he's playing. And arguably, he might even play Billing ahead of Wilshere if, say, Cook got injured. So doesn't look great for Jack Wilshere. Who'd have thought we'd have been saying that? But I'd love to see him get back onto that level of form. But what a great fact that we can debate which of the five should play and make a case for all of them, because that's going to all go well with suspensions, and because Lerma will get suspended soon, and obviously Jack Wilshere is now suspended, so it's great that we've got those options.
I think most fans going into half-time, Tom, were pretty happy with how it went. How did you feel when you went off for your half-time break?
Yeah, I was happy to see the kind of level and fighting desire, and the organisation looked a lot better. Like we've alluded to a few times, that protection of Pearson and Lerma made us really difficult to get in behind. So I was happy with that. I just felt we needed to just do a little bit more on the ball. We looked brilliant off it, but I felt if we're going to win this game, we just need to find a little something when we got the ball, and that was it really. But yeah, it's interesting that I've seen since the only other game that we had less possession than the opposition was when we beat Norwich. So it's it's all right having the ball. It's what you do with it. And I think, like Jeff said earlier, sometimes when we come up against them teams that just sit back and ask us to do questions, that's where we struggle a little bit. But like we've said here, that you can still keep that protective shield of Pearson and Lerma. You can just switch out Lewis Cook, like we said, to a Wilshere, to a Billing, to maybe give us a little bit more from an offensive standpoint. But yeah, at half time, I was happy. I was pleasantly surprised with how scrappy we looked. We scrapped really well and didn't really look like conceding. And it was just about hoping for a bit of Arnie magic or Stan in the second half.
I think the energy from Adam Smith was really good on that right-hand side as well. We talked about Kelly and Kelly had a cracking effort that the keeper saved. But I thought Smith created some space, I think, for Stanislas, and he weaves into the box and nearly creates something but falls over. That sort of work from the fullbacks is what we need, even when we're playing a back four. I think when we play the back five, we're sometimes too comfortable to have the extra man in front of the opposition, that they don't make those runs enough. And they really put a lot of energy into it, both Smith and Kelly. I think that was arguably the best performances from both this season.
Previously, so at the end of the last game, Woodgate talked about you can't win always playing pretty football. And we've seen our defensive unit clearing the ball a lot more, Neil. Are we starting to see now Woodgate's coaching coming in, some of the things that he wants us to do?
Yes. So there was a number of times yesterday when we were closed down, we just lumped it into a channel. And I think Solanke offers potentially the ability to do that more, because he's slightly quicker than Surridge as a central forward. And yeah, there were a number of occasions yesterday where watching it, you could clearly see that Jonathan Woodgate doesn't want to get caught out by another Chris Mepham moment. And when we did pass it round the back, it was when we weren't under threat. and then as soon as we were under threat, we went more direct. And I guess with the players that we've got, that's probably the correct thing to do. I think it's only really Steve Cook that still looks comfortable playing the old Bournemouth way.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Jeff, second half, we came out. There were some great chances, actually, that we managed to somehow create. Danjuma had a bit more joy as well. A couple of chances there. Can you talk us through the best bits of Danjuma there for you, Jeff?
The best bits of Danjuma. There were times in that second half where you thought every time he's got that left full back one-on-one, he's got him on toast. And in fact, they were doubling up on him and he was still beating him and beating the next person and looked a real threat. It was almost like the confidence of keeping a clean sheet and playing well in that first half gave us the belief. You can imagine the halftime team talk, far from being, right, we've got to actually start to man up and compete against this lot, which it would have been on Wednesday, was actually, we've shown we can compete with them. Now let's beat them. Now let's show what we can do. And I thought the way we came out, the way Danjuma came out and played in that second half, could have scored twice before he did score. The keeper makes a great save and there's a fantastic block where you think that's going in or going to Solanke across the goal to tap in. So really, really, really pleased. Although I did think, although his two chances, will he get a third? Because he's got that ruthlessness where you think that he should have scored twice already, actually.
Yeah, completely. But we've obviously got our biases here, and we were playing a bit better and doing really well, but it wasn't all one-way traffic, was it, Tom? Cleverly had a really comfortable look inside foot, or just a tap in really. But Beggs comes to the rescue again.
Yeah, always, doesn't he? Yeah, we always rely on Begovic to do his job. He's been brilliant at that all season, hasn't he? When called upon, we can always rely on him, which is, I think we haven't really spoken about because they only had the one shot on target, but he was still there to stop it, as you say. And yeah, there was definitely a bit more attacking intent from us. I think, as Jeff said, I think the more the game went on, we seemed to think, right, we've got a hold of them here. We look organised, we look compact, and we can maybe take a few more risks on the counter attack now. And like Neil said as well, we weren't trying to just play in front of them. We were thinking, let's turn them, because Arnie's got the beating of them here. So let's get it in the channels. Let's try and turn them. We don't need to play in front of them all the time and let them get back and get organised. Let's try and get in behind. And Arnie seemed to grow more as the game went on. But they had a few half chances. But I felt, like I said, we just looked a little bit more organised. The concern was, will we nick a goal? I was never really concerned that they would get in behind. We looked very organised, which credit to Woodgate. We looked a lot more set up well as a unit.
And then we came to Neil. I've saved this especially for you. The Jeff Lerma incident, as it's being coined. It varied opinions on this. I watched the show, the Quest channel show, and they were very much of the opinion that Jeff was looking for a free piggyback ride there, and the other guy was just trying to wiggle him off. Can you talk me through what you saw, Neil?
Well, I mean, if we're going to be brutally honest about it, he jumps on the guy's back, and then the guy, in flipping him off, flipped his hand against Jeff's face. Now, a man that grew up in Colombia and playing for the Colombian national team in central midfield as a ball winner, does not collapse when his face is flipped because of pain. So he saw the opportunity, like any great shithouser, to get any form of contact, to maximise that contact, and that's exactly what he did. But that's been done to us on many occasions, particularly in the Premier League. And do I like it? Not really, but it exists. And but that glancing blow was not enough to put a 6'3" Colombian onto the ground in agony.
No,
still could have gone though, couldn't he? Still could have gone, because he still could have gone in the fact that he raised his arm.
Yeah, of course he could. Yeah.
So they probably got as much as I totally appreciate why they're not happy with Jeff. He was pretty lucky because VAR or something, he's gone because he's raised his arm. But I don't know. I think that looked really painful for Jeff. Bless him. I'm glad he was all right.
I think the referee created a problem for himself with the way he managed that incident twofold. Number one, the free kick should have been Watford's, irrespective of whether Chalobah slaps Jeff and he falls to ground like that. It should have been Watford's free kick, and it wasn't. Secondly, he should have sent Chalobah off because he did touch Lerma in the face. Probably he should have booked Lerma for overreacting. Did neither of those things. In fact, we get the free kick, and what happens from the free kick? So, and actually, that probably stirred up a lot of the trouble that blew up in the 90th minute because the ref had got that completely wrong. So, I can understand why Watford fans were exploding, self-combusting even with that.
Yeah, I think you're right there, Jeff. I mean, if VAR had been there, we could have seen a player sent off, another player yellow carded, a free kick given in the opposite way, and no goal. So just shows you, doesn't it, the good and bad of that technology. But the goal did happen, and it was just a really simple ball over the top from that free kick. Have you celebrated a goal like that this season, Tom? Have you because for me, that I was up. that was my favourite goal we've scored in a weird kind of way.
Yeah, it feels like a while since I've even celebrated a goal, to be fair. But yeah, it was nice. I think the whole part of that kind of, with the decision for the free kick and stuff, it seemed they were all over the place. They were really frustrated, and we took advantage of that and really caught them cold. And with Arnie's pace and that, and whether he looked like he kind of maybe was looking to cut it to Solanke, and then it was kind of a half shot and it went on the keeper's legs. Really nice. He looked buzzing. You could see from the reaction of the players, couldn't you? They were absolutely buzzing because. Which says a lot, because I think they could see, like we could, that we're shutting these out. We're looking really organised, like we've said. It's just about getting that goal. And when they got it, you could almost sense from the players, they thought, we've got it in us to keep a clean sheet here. That's a match winner. And they almost knew that straight away. And like we had something to hold on to now. And that was really good. And it was really good to see all the boys buzzing with a goal and look like a bit of togetherness, which was really nice to see. But just as you feel like, these lot have been frustrating me for God knows how long now. They brought it back, didn't they? They brought me back in, sucked me back in, and I loved them all again. So it was, it was a really nice moment.
And after that point, Neil, you would be forgiven for thinking that, especially with Jonathan Woodgate being a defender as a professional, that we would just sit back then. But there was more to it than that, and we did have a few more chances, as did Watford. Could this game have ended with a different scoreline, do you think, quite easily?
Yeah, I mean, any 1-0 can't it? So there's always a huge slice of luck in any game, and like we said, Begovic was good. I think they miss a clear cut chance as well. I'm trying to remember it back in my head. I think did they have one that they fired over or wide, or that potentially they could have done more with? But 1-0, it's any 1-0 game. You can look back on a series of incidents as to why it could have been any number of scores between either of the sides. But I think the main thing yesterday wasn't the vintage performance, but what it was that we just saw a bit of cohesion and team spirit that we've not seen. We've seen glimpses of in the past 24 months, probably, haven't we? So that's the main thing. Was I started to see, like Tom said, I started to like the side again. I started to see a pattern that could work, and obviously we've got some tough tests coming up, as I'm sure we'll talk about. But if we're only talking about yesterday, it was just great to see that.
Talk about us celebrating the goal. When was the last time you saw the players celebrate a goal like that?
Yeah,
no, exactly.
I mean, that I thought spoke volumes. There was genuine feeling out there that they wanted to win that game, and whether that was playing Watford, whether we were up for it because it's a familiar foe, whether we thought that it was because it's a team that's worthy of us competing against, because they were Premier League like us last season. I hope it wasn't. I'd like to think it was more. They've sat down. They've sorted out some of the issues, and they've decided this is what we're going to go for, and they've decided they're going to go for it.
Yeah, and I think you're right, Neil. There was a chance by Sarr that they blaze wide. So you remember that correctly. Then I looked over, Jeff, and looking at the bench there, I could see Jack Wilshere. But then for Watford, I could see Dan Gosling getting ready to come on. How did that feel, seeing him stood there in a Watford shirt, ready to come onto the pitch?
So I was mulling over what's going through Gos's mind. Is he going to think, Bournemouth really need the win, so I'm not really going to try? Or am I going to be really up for this? And actually, he was probably more up for it than was healthy for him.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought it might cause us a problem, but actually it all sort of panned out all right. I think, we sort of stuck in there, and it didn't matter what subs they brought on. In fact, I thought the subs didn't really change it that much for them. They didn't really go for us. There was no sort of siege. Like, again, going back to that Vicarage Road game, we had them on the rack for that last 20 minutes. I mean, you thought when we did score that we kind of deserved that equaliser. For them, I didn't think they really deserved an equaliser because they didn't put us under any sustained pressure. It was almost like they didn't really want the draw.
Yeah, and you're right. On the pitch, they didn't really change a lot to go for us in terms of football, but at the end of the game, Tom, what happened there?
Yeah, there was a few little handbags, weren't there, at the end? But yeah, no, I think when, like we said there with the subs and stuff, it was odd because they had to take Chalobah off because Jeff had beaten him in terms of winding him up too much, and he could have got sent off. And they brought a player, Dan Gosling, who, don't get me wrong, he pops up with the odd goal, he'll show a bit of fight, but he ain't got first touch, so he wasn't going to keep the ball well for him, was he? So I wasn't that concerned. In hindsight, it's easy to say because you always worry that an ex-player's going to come back and score. But yeah, it all kicked off again. They were, let's be real, as much as Lerma was a shithouse all game, they targeted him. And whether that was Gosling saying to him or, and a bit of them knowing what Lerma's reputation is, they targeted him, they fouled him all game. And they were trying to wind him up all game. And they went in that Pedro one that just felt, I'm going to leave and we'll leave one in on him here. Obviously, it really hurt Jeff and he went rolling down again, which, who could blame him? I'll do exactly the same. We're trying to run the clock down as well. And then, it was pretty clear. They thought, here he goes again. And Gosling comes steaming over and they're, trying to wind us up a bit. But, Begovic come out and they all got involved. It was nice to see. And, Wilshere took it a step too far. But just a lot of pushing and shoving, wasn't there? It is what it is. But it was nice to see. And the whole time, Lerma was just stood there smiling. It was brilliant. I said to Jeff above me earlier that he's not my favourite Jeff anymore.
Oh, that's devastated.
You've still got the rest of the season to work back in the favour, Jeff.
I know.
Neil, we sort of alluded to this a little bit earlier on, but are we now a dirty side? Watford think we are, or is it we just turn up to play like that when we play them?
I think, the one point I did want to make is, before we talk about that, is I do think that may be a turning point for the season, that scrap. Sometimes you need something with a group of people that are very disparate and that didn't seem to have a lot of spirit. Sometimes you need a focal point that they can rally behind. And I think psychologically, the fact that they all got together and had a right good scrap, and afterwards adrenaline would have been massively high. They'll be talking about this in training on Monday. It may not be the last we've seen of Watford, remember, because there's a chance that we may play them again this season a couple of times. I think that psychologically that scrap could potentially be more important than we think, and while you would never advocate a 22-man brawl, it might actually help us, that 22-man brawl. What was your question?
On the excellent podcast, by the way, and I do recommend, this is not often I do this, but any Cherries fans out there, have a little listen to like the first 20 minutes of From the Rookery End, the Watford podcast. Right. They on there are saying that we are the dirtiest team essentially in the world to them. Are we a dirty side, Neil, or is this just a part of our game that we bring out when we play Watford?
I don't think we're not a dirty side. I think we've always been a bit of a shithousing side, if we're to be honest. We've always had players that are excellent, like Smith, Pugh, Callum Wilson. We've never had players like that at Bournemouth in my years of watching them that know how to win free kicks and penalties and fouls and wind the opposition up. And I think what we've added to that in signing people like Jeff Lerma and Ben Pearson, who again were not players, apart from Harry Arter, we've not really seen players that we're happy to take regular bookings. Pearson's obviously come in. Jack Wilshere's got a bit of spirit and fight to him, as we saw yesterday. So I think we've just switched it now and assembled a few. Even Shane Long was winding people up at the end of the game. I think we've just put a few hardened professionals in, and I think Jonathan Woodgate's very different to Eddie Howe. So he does an awful lot of swearing on the touchline, and I just think things are shifting slightly. But I wouldn't say we're a dirty side, no. But we're becoming dirtier.
it's all
master of the dark arts, aren't we? Sorry, Jeff.
Well, I was going to say it's all gamesmanship, and unfortunately, gamesmanship is part of the game. And yesterday, there were incidents that, as a fan of football, I'm not happy, but it's part of the fabric of the game. Do you remember when we played Middlesbrough this season? Up at their place, they were falling over all the time, and you get so frustrated. And when you're 1-0 down, those kinds of incidents, they just really irritate you, whether you're a fan, whether you're a player, and it happens. It's happening in the Premier League all the time. It happens in the Championship now all the time. I mean, Cardiff, that right back for Cardiff the other night, NG or whatever his name was. I mean, geez, he was falling over all the time and then kicking and not getting booked by the ref. It was like, what is going on with players like that? I was getting frustrated watching him. I'm sure Watford fans feel that we were playing on the edge of the rules yesterday, and one game of the season, maybe we did. However, it happens a lot. Get over it. You do it to us. If you were 1-0 up, you'd do exactly the same.
Yeah, it's part and parcel of the game. I know when I'm in the stadium, for example, if you're winning 1-0 and your goalkeeper starts time wasting, you're going, way. And when their goalkeeper starts time wasting, I'm going absolutely ballistic.
Yeah.
Sort it out. Part of the game. And at the end of the day, if you overstep the mark, then that's why you got a referee. He'll send them off, won't he? So,
what I do object to is Watford fans claiming the moral high ground. They never do that.
No.
Half the problem yesterday was Chalabar and Cleverley were trying to get Lerma booked all through the game. So don't give me this kind of high and mighty, we're pristine. We never do that sort of thing. Come on.
Troy Deeney as well. Troy Deeney, they missed him yesterday because he'd have loved that. But he manages referees throughout an entire game. He never ever is further than 20 yards away from a referee's ear whenever we play them. And he's constantly commentating to the referee about what's going on. And I think had he played yesterday, it might have been. I think we might have had a couple of players potentially sent off earlier because he would have led the winding up. So
yeah, the fact is they've come out with a game plan to wind Jefferson Lerma up. What we're supposed to do, just accept it and just let them wind Jefferson. Lerma's going to go, all right, then I'll do my dark arts, if you know what I mean. And it's part and parcel of the game. And everyone will do it over the course of a season, when you're running down the clock. And the fact is, a bit of time wasted out from Jack Wilshere ultimately ended up getting him sent off. So, you can't, the first time we time wasted with Jack Wilshere, the ref ran over and gave him a yellow card. So, the ref done his bit, because Jack was clearly taking forever with a throw and he got a yellow card. Ultimately, that conspired to helping him get sent off as well. So, whatever.
I like that phrase, Tom. Mastering the dark arts there. And in fact, Watford fans just thank us. We've given them Dan Gosling. I mean, he's no apprentice, is he? I mean, he'll be getting them points, I'm sure, throughout the rest of the season by, practicing the dark arts.
Yeah, no, he was part of that as well. I'm telling you, when he would have probably said to him, "Wind Jeff Lerma up." I know what it's like. And then when it was all kind of kicking off, you could see him over to the ref and talk to people. He's saying, "I know what you're like." He's getting them going as well because he knows the players. They would have been asking him, these players inside out. So he would have helped them towards that as well. Just both teams were trying bits and bobs, and we won on the day. And we both had a player sent off, and really they probably should have had one more sent off. So. It's what it is. But Jefferson Lerma, by the way, didn't get booked yesterday, and I just think that is absolutely gold. How did he not get booked? Brilliant.
It is brilliant, and it does fill me with absolute joy as well. But Jeff, how did you feel at the final whistle?
Absolutely ecstatic after that because we needed the win. More than that, we needed a performance. We'd beaten Birmingham. We'd beaten Rotherham, but that felt like a proper victory, a proper performance, and something that you can actually build on. Because we have got 2 tough away games coming up, a resurgent Bristol City and a long way north to Preston, which won't be pleasant. They beat us at our place, so they'll be looking for the double. And I thought yesterday was something. It's almost like in the heat of battle, they bonded, and that's great.
And you, Neil, how did you feel? I mean, would you have taken that performance if it ended up as a 1-1 or a 0-0?
All I've ever wanted to see is that they were not a disparate bunch of overpaid mercenaries that have picked a club for a payday. That's all I ever wanted us to do, because that just loses my love for them. So yesterday I thought, no, it was the performance mattered far more than the result, and I saw actually that they wanted to do well.
And Tom, we talked earlier in the season when Jason Tindall got the job about what the aims were from Mr. Demmin, and then only a week ago, 2 weeks ago, we were talking about, is that achievable anymore? What do you think is achievable now? We're going into this Bristol City game. What can we expect?
It's madness. That's what football does, and that you just look at the performances and just think, God, we'll be bloody lucky to get in the playoffs. And then yesterday, I found myself after the game looking at results, going, "Is second that far away?" That's what football does, isn't it? But I think we've got to try and. I think if we're realistic, I think it will be very, very difficult to get in the top two. But we just got to try and it's cliche, but like Woodgate's been saying ever since he took charge, and temporary or permanent. We just got to look at the next game. You can't look too far ahead. Just look at the next game and try and get a result. It's weird. I was looking at the fixtures not long ago and dreading them, and now I'm thinking probably better, because I think in hindsight now you think that was the perfect game for us, Watford. Get a bit of fire in the bellies. Do you know what I mean? Scrap a win, and you know what a Nigel Pearson side's going to be like. Quite similar, and they're going to want to battle. They're going to want to scrap, and we know we can do that side of the game now. And we also should think that if we win our individual battles, we've got more quality than most teams in this division. So we should have enough to get the job done. And it's really nice that we look like we've got a good base and a good platform to build on. We look like a team that we're not going to crumble, and we're not going to concede too many goals. If we cut them errors out, individual errors like we did yesterday, we've always got goal in us with the quality we got on the football pitch at the end of the day. Dan Hume's a prime example. He can wind you up for 85 minutes, but you keep him on the pitch because he can provide a moment of magic. So, yeah, it was. I'm a bit more positive now going into the Bristol City game, but it'll be a really good one because they're absolutely flying. So they'll certainly be thinking they can win as well. So it'll be a real interesting one.
Happy days, I think. What do you think, gents?
What are the odds on Bournemouth-Watford playoff final?
Oh, I'd love it. They wouldn't know how to cope. Yeah, I think if it stopped now, it would be, wouldn't it? I think they're third and we're sixth, so it would be. So I'd take that because it'll rile them up and they won't like it. So but I think it was a good point Neil made as well. I think it would be bloody interesting if Troy Deeney had played, because like you say, he's a master of all that. So they probably missed him yesterday. But yeah, it feels like when you've got like an on and off relationship with a girlfriend, you know what I mean? You break it up, you're going on little mini breaks, but you love her and you're sticking by her, and then you think, you know what, that's it. I've had enough. I can't do it anymore. And then just something just brings you back, and I love them again, and I believe in them all again, and they were fighting for the shirt, and it was mad. But that's why we love football, and really, really pleased for them all yesterday because they've won the fans back really quickly, and we just got to, hopefully, end of the season, we'll look back and go, do you remember that Watford game? That really kick-started us, didn't it? And Woodgate, I'm buzzing for Woodgate as well. Really, really good.
So here's a question for you. If you had a choice and we met them in a playoff final, would you rather win playing amazing football 5-0, or would you rather win with a dived blatant penalty that we shouldn't have got in the 93rd minute, 1-0?
Is it against Watford, you said?
Yeah.
93rd minute penalty dive.
Yeah,
If it's Watford, absolutely.
There'll be a nuclear bloody explosion in Watford.
But there isn't there? There's ways to win a football match, and you all want to see like this amazing football and blow teams away. We've only done it a few times this season, but kind of there were spells in like the Birmingham first game and Coventry and things like that. We played amazing football, but I felt like yesterday we needed that type of win. Not only was it Watford, we needed that type of win because we know we've got players that can play football, but we wanted to see that togetherness, that will to win, that fight and desire for the fans. It was literally that. It sounds silly because we scraped the 1-0, but that's exactly what we needed. That's what the fans needed to see. So it was bang on yesterday, and it'll be amazing if it was a dive and a penalty. But I'd love it. I'd imagine that fans back as well at Wembley or something and beating Watford. It'd be a dream.
It's actually a really, really good point, and because other games where we've won and we've got a sort of a bigger score line, you could argue, well, did those teams turn up? Watford turned up. You know, this.
Yeah, and are on a great run of form. Watford on a fantastic run of form. I think, was it you, Tom, that tweeted they were first in the form table?
Yeah, we were 21st before the game. Yeah, they were top. Yeah, I think was it 4 or 5 in a row or something.
Them and Cardiff are the informed teams, and we played them both in a week.
Yeah, exactly. And then I think Bristol City will be up there now over a really short period, obviously since Pearson come in. So,
and I think we could beat Cardiff had we played that formation yesterday. With Pearson.
I think so. I was just going to say, Neil, I think if we'd have played like that, we'd have beaten Cardiff. It helps having Pearson in that midfield. He's just got a way of reading the game that is so helpful. Where a lot of players might get caught ball watching, he's on it and he's there ahead of the opposition and makes it look easy what he does by breaking up the play. It was so good yesterday.
There's not a great sample size, but that was another good stat. We haven't conceded a goal when Ben Pearson's been playing. And he does give that. And I think that's a lot of things. I watched a few little Watford kind of previews and stuff from their fans, and their midfield's been winning them games in terms of Will Hughes, Chalobah, and who's the other one? Will Hughes, Chalobah, Cleverly, yeah. They've been bossing games. And they all said it afterwards. They all said they won the battle in there. And then their 2 wide men have been killing people. And like I think Jeff alluded to earlier, our fullbacks deserve a lot of praise as well because they nullified them. They didn't do anything. They're 2 of the best wingers in the league. So, yeah, we won our individual battles. And as a collective, got the job done brilliantly. So it was spot on, wasn't it? Spot on.
Spot on indeed. And I think we'll leave it there, gentlemen. It was great to have you all involved today. So thanks very much, Jeff.
Cheers. Thanks, Mr. Tigz.
Thank you, Neil.
Thank you very much.
And cheers, Tom.
Cheers, Tigz.
And thank you for watching. If you've only watched a little bit of this and you want to absorb the whole thing, you can download it, our audio podcast. It'll be out tomorrow. It features the whole of this conversation and a little bit more. So we'll pop the link in the description. In the meantime, remember to subscribe with the player ratings video, and an extended interview with Tony Pulis will be coming tonight. You don't want to miss it. Trust me. Again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Up and cherries.